Okay, so I've got these three equations. And remember, with solving single variable equations, the main thing that we got to remember is what we do to one side, we're going to do to the other. So the other thing that I want you to remember is, how do we know when we're done? Well, we know we're done when the x is alone on one side of the equal sign. So I want x equals some number. Again, here it's going to be x is going to equal to some number. Same thing here, x equals something. That's how I know that I'm done. So how do I get, let's start with this one up in the upper left, this 3x, this one up here, 3x equals 36. So I've got to get rid of this times 3. 3 times some number equals 36. So the opposite of times 3 is going to be, we're going to divide that by 3. And 3 divided by 3 gives me 1x. But we generally don't write the 1. We generally just write x. So we've got that down here. And then I say, well, what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So 36 divided by 3. So we've got 3x divided by 3 is 1x, and then 36 divided by 3 gives me 12. So I know that I'm done because x is alone on one side of the equal sign. Let's try it over here. So I've got x divided by 7 equals 8. So we're on this one over here. X divided by 7 equals 8. So what's the opposite of divide by 7? The opposite is going to be to multiply both sides. Multiply by 7. And I've got 7 divided by 7 gives me 1. So that gives me 1x, which I've got down here, 1x. But what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So if I've multiplied this by 7, I've got to multiply this side by 7 as well. So 8 times 7 gives me 56. And x is alone on one side of the equal sign, so I know that I'm done. And I want you to start boxing your answers when you're done, if you don't already. So now let's go down to this bottom one, this bottom problem. So I've got 3x plus 5 equals 50. So right now I've got to get rid of this plus 5, and I've also got to get rid of this times 3. So let's get rid of the plus 5 first. So we're going to, the opposite of plus 5 is going to be subtract 5. So 5 minus 5 cancels out, and what I'm left with is 3x. But what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So if I've subtracted 5 from this side, I have to subtract 5 from this side as well. And 50 minus 5 gives me 45. So now that I'm here, now I've got to get rid of this times 3 there. So what is the opposite of times 3? The opposite of times 3 is going to be to divide by 3. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So 3 divided by 3 cancels out, gives me 1x. 1x. But we generally don't write 1x. We generally just write x. And then 45 divided by 3 is going to give me 15. And if x is alone on one side of the equal sign, I know that I'm done.